Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and we're out here at the range today with a Russian World War II sniper rifle and chronologically inappropriate Russian Afghanka hat. Now this is a 9130 PU. This is the standard, most common sniper rifle that the Red Army had during World War II. It was adopted into service in late 1942, actually began production in 43, basically, very end of 42. They show up in soldiers' hands at the beginning of 1943, and they would ultimately make nearly 400,000 of these things. The Soviet Army used snipers to a much greater extent than any other army in World War II. Like, to put it in context, the Soviets had basically the same number of snipers as the Germans had self-loading rifles. So the Gewehr 41 Mauser, Gewehr 41 Walther, and the Gewehr 43s, all of them put together, you get basically the same number as the Soviets had just snipers. They made significant use of this as a tool integrated into combat operations. Now, I want to do some shooting with this to get a feel for what's it like to shoot a 9130 PU. What are the eccentricities of the system? I am using, by the way, PPU, how appropriate, match grade 182 grain ammunition. The Russians did have specific precision sniper loading for these rifles, but I'm not going to bother to do a group on paper for you guys because Henry and Josh over at 9 Hole Reviews had it and then sent it over to me, and they did some shooting with it, and Henry is a far better marksman than I am. So I'll leave it to him to show you what this thing can actually do for groups. All right, we got 5 rounds in the mag. Won't use clips because the scope's in the way. You just single load rounds. And for a rest, I have an old Russian Veshmashok backpack full of rags. So it should be very appropriate. Let's see. All right, just between the eyes, like my grandpa would have taught me if I was Vasily Zaitsev, which I'm not. But that was a clean hit right center of the head at 100 yards. Try and reset that. That's pretty easy to make hits with. Now, it's also a little bit rough on the shoulder. I'm holding this, the butt sitting a little bit low on my rest here, and there is definitely some noticeable recoil coming out of this guy. The scope it's a little wonky, to be honest. So the thing with the PU is that your reticle actually slides up and down in your field of view. This was not that uncommon on older scopes. Today, we're used to a reticle that sits right in the center of the scope, and when you adjust your elevation and windage, you're moving essentially the whole inside of the scope. So you don't see anything move. It's still centered in your field of view. On this, I have a big old pointed center post that's sliding up and down in my field of view. So at 100 meters here, that's basically point blank range. That's going to be the closest I will ever shoot, which means the pointer is way up towards the top, probably 2/3, 3/4 of the way up the field of view. And that makes it a little bit awkward to get clearly in sight because you don't really, your eye wants to put that pointer in the very middle of the scope, but the pointer is located up above the center, so it takes, I don't know that I'd say it takes a little practice, but it's something you have to get used to. All right, let's try a few more shots. Whack, right in the head again. And a center shot will reset that. Pretty easy to make hits here. Let me get one more. I've got 1 round left in the mag. All right, that was too easy. So I think we should take this this Veshmashok back to 200 meters and see what happens there. Okay. All right, so 200, I'm gonna take our BDC and it's just a little tiny adjustment. Boop. There to 200 meters. Then single load the mag up again. All right, I hit the target, but not a clean center hit. Try that again. right, I'm making good hits on the target, but not quite resetting that headpiece. One more. All right, hit it again, but not sure where I am on that head target. All right, one round left in the mag. One more chance at this. I tried aiming low there to see if that would get it, and no, I actually shot low under the target. For what it's worth, the standard accuracy specification for this exact rifle was it had to be able to put 4 rounds into, depending on the period in the war, either an 8 or 9 centimeter circle. And that comes out to 8 centimeters would be like 2.8 MOA, 9 would be 3.1 MOA. So we extrapolate that out to a 200 meter target, and we're talking roughly a 6-inch circle should hold all the rounds. So not like these rifles, this was the sniper standard during World War II, and this was pretty similar to the standard that all the other major powers had for their sniper rifles. And it's not the 1 MOA tack driving thing that we think of today. Let's see if I can get this guy standing. I didn't think we'd get that since you were actually showing the target, but lo and behold, one shot. Nope, whiffed it. Offhand headshot is too much for me with this rifle. I thought that one was better, but it's not. This kind of brings back memories of the 03A4 sniper we did earlier that I also kind of didn't do all that great with. But always interesting to take original rifles like this out to the range, give them a try, see what it's like to shoot them. This was a rifle that was effective, but not the most user-friendly. The cheek weld's a little bit high. The reticle is a little wonky, given that it shifts up and down in the in your field of view. Like ideal spot right in the center is 500 or 600 meters, which is pretty well, certainly beyond the range of any effective headshot with the rifle. Maybe not a full-size silhouette, but you'd have to be a good shot, which many of the Soviet snipers were. They had a ton of them, and they racked up some very high body counts in the Eastern Front of World War II. So, beautiful rifle. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.